Mr. Leon Pereira.
Question 8, please.
Speaker, if an employer terminates an employee's contract of service but still engages the worker's services under conditions that effectively makes the worker an employee, this is a misclassification of an employee to avoid employee obligations. So let me just repeat that. If an employer terminates an employee's contract of service but still engages the worker's services under conditions that effectively makes the worker an employee, this is misclassification of an employee to avoid employee obligations. So MOM will investigate such cases and take action against employers where warranted. In a tight labour market, employers must also consider carefully how they contract with their workers, or they may face difficulties in ensuring sufficient manpower needs to meet their business needs. For example, an employee who is terminated and rehired under a contract for service may choose to leave and join another company as an employee for greater employment security. So to help employers with the expansion of the progressive wage model, the government has introduced the Progressive Wage Credit Scheme, or PWCS, as transitional support. So the PWCS funds up to 75% of wage increases given in 2023 to employees earning up to $2,500 per month, and 45% for those earning above $2,500 up to $3,000. So we encourage employers to take the opportunity to uplift wages and upgrade the productivity and skills of our low-wage workers.
Dr. Tan Wu Meng.
I thank the Minister for his answer. I've got one supplementary question. What efforts and programs are in place to make sure that workers in general in the labour market, especially older workers who may be either less literate, less up-to-date with media news, what measures are there to help workers be aware of this potential practice of misclassifying an employer-employee relationship? I ask this in context of a previous PQ I raised to Senior Minister of State, Dr. Koh Poh Koon, in a previous parliamentary sitting about the risk of platform companies' practice of classifying jobs that previously were employee jobs and re-gazetting them as gig platform contracts. And I asked about the risk of such practices catching on in other sectors. So I was wondering, in context of that, would the SMS, Mr. Zaqy, be able to share more? How are we helping workers be aware and to protect themselves?
Well, I thank the member for his question. I think, for most employees, I think they know their general rights. And if something amiss comes about where you're terminated unfairly, you can always come to MOM, TAFEP, or one of the unions, especially for those under progressive wage, where most are pretty much covered by the unions. As far as we know today, neither MOM nor any of our lead sector agencies have received any complaints with regards to termination and being converted to be self-employees. So in fact, I think in a tight labour market, as I've explained, one who is unfairly terminated and being asked to come back as a platform worker, for example, I think that's unfair, but they do have choices too to work for someone else. And certainly, I think for the employer, it's not too wise to do so. And in the sense that once you're a self-employed, you can serve multiple employers too. So then, therefore, you lose the worker as well. But of course, certainly if you come across any of such cases, whether among your Clementi residents or otherwise, please feel free to come to MOM. Thank you.